Why humans overthink at night. Why the mind gets louder at night. Welcome back. Tonight we're going to talk about something almost every human being has experienced at some point. That strange moment when the day is finally over. The room is quiet. The lights are low. Your body is tired. But your mind decides that now, of all times, is the perfect moment to think about everything. The message you sent earlier, the thing you should have said differently, the future, the past, a memory from 5 years ago, a problem that felt small during the day but suddenly feels enormous in the dark. This is nighttime overthinking, and even though it can feel lonely, frustrating, or even a little strange, it is deeply human. Tonight we'll explore why it happens, not in a harsh or clinical way, but slowly, calmly, like we're sitting together in a quiet room, looking at the mind with curiosity instead of fear. Because overthinking at night is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is often the mind trying to protect you, organize you, understand you, and prepare you. It just has very bad timing. During the day, the mind is busy. There are sounds, tasks, people, messages, movement, light, decisions, chores, conversations, meals, errands, responsibilities. Even if the day has not been particularly productive, the brain still receives a constant stream of information. There is always something to look at, something to answer, something to scroll, something to plan, something to avoid. The day gives the mind structure, but night removes much of that structure. The world becomes quieter. The body slows down. The phone may be put away. The room becomes still. And when the outside world becomes quiet, the inside world often becomes louder. It is almost as if the thoughts were waiting in line all day. And then, when everything else finally stops, they step forward. One by one. Control. This is fear of being misunderstood. A fear of being alone with ourselves. Night can make these feelings more visible. Not because night creates them, but because night removes the distractions that covered them. Thoughts as signals, not truth. This is why overthinking is not always something to fight. Sometimes it is something to listen to gently, not believe completely, not obey, not follow into every spiral, but listen to. Because nighttime thoughts often point toward needs. A worry about tomorrow may point to a need for structure. A repeated memory may point to a need for self-forgiveness. A fear about relationships may point to a need for reassurance. A racing mind may point to a need for rest, not more thinking. A sense of dread may point to a nervous system that has been carrying too much. The thought itself may not be the truth, but it may be a signal. For example, the thought, "I am falling behind," may not be true, but it may signal that you need direction. The thought, "Everyone is upset with me," may not be true, but it may signal that you need connection. The thought, "I can't handle tomorrow," may not be true, but it may signal that you are tired, very tired. And tiredness is one of the most underrated reasons for overthinking. When the body is depleted, the mind becomes less flexible. Everything feels narrower. You may lose access to nuance. Instead of "I had a difficult day," the mind says, "My life is difficult." Instead of "I felt awkward in that conversation," the mind says, "I am awkward." Instead of "I need rest," the mind says, "Something is wrong." Nighttime overthinking often turns temporary states into permanent conclusions. That is one of its tricks. It takes a passing feeling and dresses it up as truth. But feelings at night are not always reliable narrators. They are real. But they are not always accurate. There is a difference. A feeling can be real without being a prophecy. You can feel afraid without being in danger. You can feel behind without being a failure. You can feel alone without being unloved. You can feel uncertain without being lost. Night makes it harder to remember this, and that is why gentleness matters. Most people respond to overthinking with frustration. Why am I like this? Why can't I just sleep? This is ridiculous. I need to stop. But fighting the mind often gives it more energy. The mind hears danger in the frustration. It becomes more alert. It thinks, now we have another problem. We are worried about worrying. And then the spiral doubles. Now you are not only thinking about the original issue, you are thinking about the fact that you are thinking. This is called meta-worry. Worry about worry. And it can make a quiet night feel like a mental maze. A softer approach is often more effective. Something like, my mind is trying to protect me again. Or, this feels important because I am tired. Or, I do not have to solve this tonight. That last sentence is powerful. I do not have to solve this tonight. Because many nighttime thoughts demand urgency. They arrive with the emotional tone of an emergency. But not every thought that feels urgent is urgent. Some thoughts are simply loud, and a loud thought is not the same as a true thought. Identity, memory, and the night, self. Imagine your mind as a radio in another room. At night, the volume may turn up, but you do not have to walk into the room and respond to every broadcast. You can hear the noise and still let your body rest. This takes practice, but it is possible. Another reason humans overthink at night has to do with identity. During the day, we often perform different roles. Student, worker, partner, friend, daughter, son, parent, colleague, helper, person who answers messages, person who gets things done. But at night, those roles fall away. You are no longer performing. You are just yourself. And for some people, that can feel peaceful. For others, it can feel exposing. The quiet asks, who are you, when nobody needs anything from you? And sometimes the mind does not know how to answer. So it fills the silence with evaluation. Am I doing enough? Am I becoming who I wanted to be? Did I waste time? Am I loved? Am I safe? Am I choosing the right life? These are not small questions, they are human questions. And night has a way of making human questions feel very close. This is why nighttime can feel emotional. Many people become more sentimental at night. Music feels deeper. Memories feel stronger. Regret feels sharper. Love feels more fragile. The past feels closer. Partly, this may be because the day's defenses are tired. The practical self steps back. The emotional self steps forward. And suddenly something ordinary can feel profound. A light in a window, a message left unanswered, a childhood memory, a song, a place you miss, a version of yourself you used to be. At night, the mind often wanders through time. It moves backward into memory and forward into imagination. This ability is one of the most beautiful and painful things about being human. We do not only live in the present, we carry the past, we simulate the future, we imagine alternatives. We can think, well, what if I had chosen differently? What if tomorrow changes everything? What if I lose what I love? What if I become someone else? This time-traveling mind helps us learn and plan. But at night, it can become too active. It can pull us away from the body, away from the bed, away from the present, away from the simple fact that right now, in this moment, there may be nothing to do. Just breathe, just rest, just let tomorrow be tomorrow. Another part of nighttime overthinking is the need for closure. The brain likes completed loops, a finished conversation, a clear answer, a plan, a conclusion, a reason. But life leaves many loops open. Someone replies differently than expected. A problem remains unresolved. A decision has not been made. A feeling is unclear. A relationship is uncertain. A future path is still forming. At night, open loops can feel uncomfortable. The mind keeps returning to them because it wants to close them. It wants to file them away, but not everything can be filed away at bedtime. Some things need time. Some answers arrive slowly. Some emotions settle only after sleep. Some clarity is not found by thinking harder, but by resting first. Sleep, surrender, and letting the day end. This is an important truth. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do with a problem is sleep before solving it. Sleep changes the brain. It helps process emotion. It strengthens memory. It clears mental noise. It restores perspective. A problem at midnight may look different in morning light, not because morning magically fixes everything, but because the brain is more resourced. The nervous system is less raw. The world has edges again. There is light, breakfast, movement, small tasks, people, ordinary sounds, and ordinary life is strangely healing. Night can make thoughts feel infinite. Morning makes them feel located. This is why the phrase "sleep on it" exists. Human beings have known for a long time that sleep brings distance, and distance brings wisdom. Still, the question remains, why does the mind choose bedtime to begin its work? One reason is that bedtime is a transition. Humans often struggle with transitions, from activity to rest, from light to dark, from social life to solitude, from doing to being, from control to surrender. Sleep requires surrender. You cannot force it directly. You can prepare for it, invite it, make space for it, but you cannot command it. And for a mind that likes control, this can feel uncomfortable. Falling asleep means letting go of the day, letting go of vigilance, letting go of the self that manages everything. For some people, that letting go is difficult, so the mind stays active as a way to avoid surrender. It says, "Not yet, we still have things to figure out." But often, the real work is not figuring out, it is allowing the day to be incomplete, allowing yourself to be imperfect, allowing tomorrow to arrive without rehearsing every detail, allowing thoughts to pass without turning them into assignments. This does not mean ignoring real problems. It means recognizing that the bed is not always the best place to solve them. The bed is for rest. And the mind can learn this over time, not instantly, not perfectly, but slowly. You can teach the brain that nighttime is not a courtroom. You do not have to put yourself on trial every evening. You do not have to replay every sentence. You do not have to defend your entire existence. You do not have to prepare for every possible future. You are allowed to end the day unfinished. That may be one of the most comforting ideas. You are allowed to end the day unfinished, because every human life is unfinished at night. There are always unanswered messages, unmade decisions, unresolved feelings, unclear paths, small regrets, possible futures. No one goes to sleep with everything solved. Even the calmest-looking people have inner weather. Some are just better at letting the weather pass. And maybe that is what peace is, not the absence of thought, but a different relationship with thought. A peaceful mind is not always silent. Sometimes it is simply less convinced that every thought is an emergency. Returning to the body. So when humans overthink at night, it may help to remember the mind is doing what minds do. It is reviewing, predicting, protecting, sorting, searching, trying to make meaning. But you are more than the mind's activity. You are also the body beneath the blanket, the breath moving in and out, the tired eyes, the hands resting, the heartbeat continuing without your control. The body often knows how to rest before the mind agrees, and sometimes the kindest thing is to return to the body. Not as a technique to force sleep, but as a homecoming. Feel the weight of the body, the support of the bed, the air in the room, the small sounds around you, the fact that you are here now, not in tomorrow, not in yesterday, just here. The mind may continue talking, that is okay. It can talk in the background. You do not have to answer every question tonight. Some thoughts can be left unopened. Some worries can wait outside the door. Some memories can pass through without becoming a story. Nighttime overthinking often feels like the mind asking for certainty. But sleep asks for trust. Trust that you can meet tomorrow when tomorrow comes. Trust that you do not need to rehearse every pain to survive it. Trust that rest is not laziness. Trust that you are still worthy when you are not solving, fixing, proving, or improving, just resting. There is also something strangely tender about overthinking. It shows how much we care. People overthink because things matter. They care about being understood. They care about doing well. They care about being safe. They care about love. They care about the future. They care about who they are becoming. A completely indifferent mind would not overthink, so even though overthinking can be painful, it often comes from sensitivity, from awareness, from a deep wish to live well. The goal is not to destroy that sensitivity. The goal is to protect it from exhaustion, to give it boundaries, to say, "Thank you, mind, I know you are trying, but we are resting now." That may sound simple, but simplicity is sometimes what the nervous system needs. Not another analysis, not another answer, a gentle limit. We are resting now. Tomorrow there may be time to write things down, to make a plan, to talk to someone, to solve one small part, to take one step. But tonight the task is different. Tonight the task is to loosen the grip, to let thoughts become softer, to let the room be enough, to let the night be night, letting the mind grow quiet. And maybe if a thought comes, you can imagine placing it somewhere safe. On a shelf, in a notebook, beside the bed, not thrown away, not ignored forever, just set down. I will come back to this when I have more light. Because some thoughts are meant for daylight. Some thoughts need breakfast. Some need a walk. Some need a conversation. Some need time. Some need sleep first. Not everything deserves your midnight attention. This is not avoidance. It is wisdom. It is knowing that the mind has seasons. The night mind is not the whole mind. The anxious mind is not the whole self. The tired mind is not the final judge of your life. There is another version of you that exists in daylight, a version with more capacity, more humor, more perspective, more strength. Let that version handle what tonight cannot. For now, you can simply notice thinking is happening, worry is happening, memory is happening, planning is happening, but I do not have to become all of it. I can be the place where thoughts pass through, like weather outside a window. Some nights are clear, some nights are stormy, some nights are filled with strange winds. But weather moves, thoughts move too, even when they feel permanent. And eventually, if you do not keep feeding them, many thoughts begin to lose their sharp edges. They blur, they drift, they become less like commands and more like distant sounds. This is often how sleep arrives, not when you defeat the mind, but when you stop wrestling with it, when you let it murmur, when you let the body grow heavier, when you allow the unfinished day to close softly without needing a perfect ending. So if you overthink at night, you are not broken. You are human. You have a mind built to protect you. Remember, imagine, plan, and search for meaning. Sometimes it works too hard. Sometimes it chooses the worst possible hour, but it is not your enemy. It may simply need reassurance. The same reassurance it keeps trying to find through thinking. You are safe enough for now. You can rest before everything is solved. Tomorrow is allowed to wait. And maybe that is the quiet lesson of nighttime overthinking. The mind wants certainty. But rest begins when we accept that we do not need certainty in order to be held by the present moment. We do not need all the answers to deserve sleep. We do not need to understand everything before we can let go. You are allowed to rest. We can be unfinished and still be safe. We can be uncertain and still be okay. We can be tired and still be enough. So tonight, let the thoughts come if they come. Let them pass if they pass. Do not chase them too far. Do not argue with every shadow. Let the night be softer than the mind says it is. Let the bed hold what you cannot solve. Let tomorrow keep its own questions, and let yourself return again and again to this simple truth. Right now, there is nothing you need to become, nothing you need to prove, nothing you need to fix before you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to sleep as you are, unfinished, human, trying, and enough. The strange thing about nighttime is that it can make the world feel much smaller and much larger at the same time. A bedroom can suddenly feel like an entire universe. A single thought can feel endless. A memory can feel close enough to touch. And silence itself can begin to feel heavy. But silence is not always empty. Sometimes silence is simply space. Space that the mind is not used to. During the day, we rarely sit alone with ourselves for very long. There is almost always something demanding our attention. A screen, a task, a conversation, a notification, a distraction. Modern life gives the mind very few moments of true stillness. And when stillness finally arrives at night, the brain sometimes does not know what to do with it. So it fills the silence, it searches, it reviews, it analyzes, it imagines, not because you are broken, but because the human mind dislikes uncertainty and emptiness. It wants movement, it wants conclusions, it wants reassurance. But reassurance is not always found through thinking harder. Sometimes reassurance comes through slowing down enough to realize that in this exact moment, nothing terrible is happening. You are here, breathing, resting, existing. And sometimes that is enough. Not forever, not as a solution to every problem in life, but enough for tonight. There will be other hours for solving things, other hours for planning, other hours for difficult conversations, other hours for decisions, other hours for becoming. Tonight does not have to carry all of it. Tonight can simply be a pause, a small space between one day and the next, a quiet crossing between who you were this morning and who you will be tomorrow. And maybe sleep itself is something softer than we think, not shutting the mind off completely, but slowly loosening its grip on the world, one thought at a time, drifting into sleep. Maybe that is why so many people find comfort in soft sounds at night. Rain against a window, a distant train, waves moving slowly in the dark, the hum of a fan, a quiet voice speaking gently in another room. These sounds do not solve our problems, but they remind the nervous system that it does not have to stay on guard, that not every silence hides danger, that rest is allowed. Human beings have always searched for signs of safety before sleep, firelight, shelter, the presence of other people, warmth, rhythm, softness. Even now in modern life, the brain still responds to those signals. That is why a storm outside can feel cozy when you are safe indoors, why the sound of a train can feel calming, why certain rooms, lights, or voices can make the body soften almost instantly. The nervous system is always asking the quiet question, can I let go now? And sometimes the answer arrives not through logic, but through atmosphere. A dim light, a blanket, rainfall, gentle repetition. A calm voice reminding you that you do not need to carry the entire world tonight. Overthinking often comes from trying to hold too much at once. Too many possibilities, too many futures, too many imagined outcomes. Sleep asks us to set some of that weight down, not forever, just for a few hours, and maybe that is one of the hardest and most beautiful parts of being human. Learning that rest is not something you earn only after becoming perfect. Rest is something you need in order to continue becoming. You do not have to finish healing tonight. You do not have to solve your entire future tonight. You do not have to understand every emotion tonight. Some things can remain uncertain while you sleep. Some answers can wait until morning. Some fears become smaller after rest. And some thoughts disappear completely once they are no longer fed by exhaustion and darkness. The night mind can be convincing, but it is not always truthful. It speaks in shadows, in unfinished stories, in emotional exaggeration. Morning speaks differently. Morning speaks in movement, in perspective, in ordinary life continuing. And that is important to remember when the mind becomes loud in the dark. You are not trapped inside this moment forever. Thoughts change, feelings shift, nights pass, even this one. So if your mind is busy tonight, you do not need to force silence. You do not need to win an argument with yourself. You do not need to chase every thought to the end. You can simply let the thoughts exist while your body rests beneath them, like clouds moving across the sky, like distant weather, present for a while, then slowly fading. And as the night continues, maybe the mind can loosen a little more. Maybe the body can grow heavier. Maybe the room can feel softer. Maybe you can stop trying to solve yourself for one night and simply rest. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are human, and humans were never meant to carry every thought all at once. So let the night hold some of it for you. Let the darkness be gentle. Let the unfinished parts remain unfinished. Tomorrow will still exist when you wake up. But for now, there is only this moment, this breath, this quiet room, and the slow permission to let go. The quiet, after the thinking. Eventually, every night reaches a softer hour, a point where the mind becomes too tired to keep holding everything so tightly. The thoughts may still be there, but they begin to lose their urgency. The future grows quieter. The memories grow blurrier. The questions become less sharp. And somewhere beneath all the thinking, the body continues doing what it has always known how to do. Breathing, resting, waiting patiently for the mind to catch up. There is something comforting about that. The body does not ask you to solve your life before sleep. It does not demand certainty. It simply asks for rest. And maybe that is why so many people feel emotional at night, because nighttime removes performance. There are no audiences, no expectations for productivity, no pressure to explain yourself perfectly, only you. And sometimes meeting yourself in the quiet can feel overwhelming, but it can also become something gentle. A reminder that beneath all the noise of daily life, there is still a person here trying their best. A tired human being carrying memories, hopes, fears, responsibilities, dreams, disappointments, and questions. Just like everyone else, overthinking often makes people feel isolated, as if they are the only person awake in the world, wondering if they are enough. But countless people have stared at ceilings in the dark, asking the same questions. Am I okay? Will things work out? Am I making the right choices? Will I ever feel calm again? Will tomorrow be easier? These are ancient human questions. People asked them long before electricity, long before phones, long before modern life became so loud. The human mind has always searched for meaning in the dark. And maybe that is because darkness slows the world down enough for those deeper questions to rise to the surface. But not every question needs an answer tonight. Some questions are companions rather than problems. They walk beside us quietly through different seasons of life. And over time, we slowly grow into some answers instead of thinking our way toward them. Life is strange that way. Some clarity arrives only after living. Not after overanalyzing, not after replaying every possibility, but after time passes, after mornings arrive, after ordinary days continue unfolding. Sometimes healing is quieter than we expect, not one dramatic breakthrough. but slowly noticing that certain thoughts no longer hold the same weight, that certain fears no longer control the room, that certain nights no longer feel endless, and even if tonight still feels heavy, that does not mean it always will. Minds change, people change, seasons change. What feels overwhelming now may one day feel distant. And until then, you do not have to carry every thought perfectly. You are allowed to be tired, allowed to pause, allowed to stop searching for certainty for a little while, because there is a difference between being unsafe and simply being uncomfortable with uncertainty. And many nighttime thoughts are really about uncertainty. The mind wants guarantees, but life rarely gives guarantees. So perhaps peace is not finding perfect certainty. Perhaps peace is learning that uncertainty can exist without destroying you, that unanswered questions can exist beside moments of calm, that imperfect lives can still contain warmth, beauty, meaning, friendship, laughter, love, and rest. Even now, even tonight, even here in the quiet, drifting away. So for now, there is nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to become before morning. The future can wait outside the room for a little while longer. You do not need every answer tonight. You do not need certainty in order to rest. The mind may still wander. That is okay. Minds wander the way oceans move, the way rain falls, the way wind passes through trees at night. Thoughts come, thoughts go. Some stay longer than others. But not every thought deserves your full attention, and not every feeling is a message you must decode before sleep. Sometimes a tired mind simply needs kindness, a softer voice, a slower breath, a quieter room. Maybe that is enough tonight. Not perfection, not complete peace, just enough softness to let the body loosen its grip on the day, enough safety to close your eyes for a while, enough trust to let the night carry you instead of fighting it. And as the room grows quieter, you may notice that the thoughts no longer feel quite as sharp. The edges soften, the spaces between thoughts grow wider, the body grows heavier, the mind grows slower, and little by little, without forcing, without chasing sleep, you begin drifting somewhere softer than thought, somewhere beyond analysis, beyond planning, beyond worry, into rest. So let the night continue around you, let tomorrow wait, let the mind grow quieter in its own time. And for now, simply rest. You have done enough for one day. You are safe enough for this moment, and you are allowed to sleep.